about a dozen special forms in Scheme. There's only one special form in Logo, and that's 2 for defining procedures. Everything else is an ordinary procedure that evaluates its arguments. Now, you will remember back in week 1 of the course, you proved that if had to be a special form, right? That doesn't seem to be true in Logo. Why not? Well, because quoting the thing that you want to do is good enough. If we get around to saying eval this expression, which is essentially what if does, it will inherit the argument of the caller of if, right? So if could be a user-defined procedure. In fact, in a bit, I'll show you how to write if without having any conditionals in the language at all. It's very cute, but we're not ready for that yet. So this is what I mean by saying that an expression in Logo is like having a procedure in Scheme. So if we wanted to do this, equivalent to this in Scheme, we would write an if that said if, parenthesis, vowel p first of word, close parenthesis, open paren, lambda, left paren, right paren, output, blah, 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 blah. Right? We would have to make a procedure to be the second input to if. If in Logo takes 2 inputs, by the way. Thing to test, what to do if it's true. If you want the 3 input kind, like the Scheme one, that's called if-else, one word. If-else, test, what to do if it's true, what to do if it's false. Okay? So another thing to note about this is if we do evaluate this output expression, output ends the procedure. So this line after that doesn't have to be part of an else clause because the then clause here ends the procedure. As soon as you execute an output, the procedure is done. If that's not the case, if first of word is a consonant, then we say output, recursive call to Piggle, word but first of dots word, first of dots word, which is the same way we did it in Scheme. Okay? Here's vowel P, letter, output member P, dots letter, quote, A-E-I-O-U. That's how you see if something is a vowel. By the way, what is this member P, vowel P about? P stands for predicate. There have been huge, huge screaming arguments among Logo designers about how to represent predicates. And there are basically 3 contenders. One is question mark, as in Scheme. One is vowel P, as in the most traditional Logos and the most traditional Lisps. Lisp always originally used P, which has survived in the language of hackers. If you're hungry and you want somebody to come eat with you, you go up to them and say, food P? And they know what you mean, even if they program in a Lisp that has question marks. So P for predicate, or question mark for question, or the third contender was some British versions of Logo used Q. And Q is a kind of compromise candidate, because one of the problems with question mark, as you may have observed, if you want to say a Scheme program to someone, there's a procedure called list that's the constructor for lists, and there's another procedure called list, which is the predicate for is this thing a list, and it's, so you end up saying list question mark, you know. List P is a lot easier. But Q is pronounceable, so you can say list Q, but it's an uncommon letter. You're not likely to have a name that ends in Q by accident. So that's the advantage of Q. It's actually not a bad choice, but nobody uses it outside of Britain. I was always a P fan, mainly because of this list problem. But also, I claim every procedure that returns a value is answering a question. So when you say plus 2, 3 in scheme or sum 2, 3 in logo, you're asking a question. What's the sum of 2 and 3? How much is 2 plus 3? Question mark. Right? In English, you'd have a question mark for that, the same as you do for predicates, which are yes or no questions. So I think that to make the idea of predicate mean the same thing as the idea of question is confusing. And that's why I like P. It's more specialized. People who don't like P point out that there are primitive logo procedures whose name end in P that aren't predicates, like stop is one. And so people who would, question mark fans would make fun of us P fans by talking about the primitive stow P. There's a mispronunciation of stop. So in the design of Apple logo, in which I participated in about 1 trillion design meetings, at which there was huge screaming arguments about this, I ended up winning. We used P. The argument that convinced people in the end was one that I made as a joke. I said, anyway, look, the scheme prompt is a question mark. So if you say, you know, if you say word question mark, it looks as if you're delimiting something like, you know, the upside down question mark in Spanish at the beginning, you know. And they said, oh, yeah, huh. Oops, oh well. Hey. Yeah. And so that's how I won the argument. OK, let's move along here. So yeah, essentially no special forms except for 2. In particular, if isn't a special form. And so almost all the time, you see square brackets here. That, by the way, was also controversial. In the original Lisp, if was a special form. And the notation was if test, then what to do if it's true. And then you could say else if you wanted to and have another thing. Just like, you know, all those other programming languages. And I hated special forms, so I made them do it this way. And the problem with doing it this way is people always ask, how come this is in square brackets, but this isn't in square brackets? And because you understand about evaluation, right, and that we want if to evaluate this other thing only under certain conditions and all of that, you know why there are brackets on the second one but not the first one. But it's a little hard to explain that to a kid. And so that was another thing we would argue about. It's also hard to explain 1 million special case rules to a kid. So there are advantages to uniformity also. OK. Oops. So here's just the standard but first your way down a sentence kind of recursion. I say print pig Latin another girl. Not a great example. Oh well. All right. Print pig Latin. There, lots of consonants. That's better. So how does this work? It has a base case. If the sentence is empty, output the empty sentence. Otherwise, output fput. That's cons. It stands for first put. So put this at the beginning of that. There's also, in Logo, lput, which you would have liked when you were trying to reverse a list the first time. So f put, call piggle on the first word of the sentence, and call pig Latin on the but first of the sentence. So it's just like cons. I could have said here, of course, instead of f put, sentence, and it would have done the same thing, right? It would have had the same result. And that's what I would do if I were writing this for a kid. But here I'm writing it to teach you about f put.